Welcome to Smellbad's Gaming. We are back at Hangman's Alley doing our Let's Build, where we are hopefully going to set up some very awesome farm area in this very small space. The plan is to build up, so we'll use this far end where the settlers should still be able to go, but we don't really want it to impact on the main area of the Hangman's Alley, so yeah, we're going to try and make it as compact as we can. So here I am trying to figure out what sort of height and where to position things. It can be extremely tricky in Hangman's Alley. We have all sorts of strange and wonderful clipping and snapping and all sorts of wonderful things like that. So it can be a real challenge to actually get things to go where you want them, and the influence of other objects for some reason really can cause what should work not to work. As you can see, I mean, normally something like this should just clip straight in, and it's not going into the wall or anything like that, but it just does not want to sit. So that is one of the problems with Hangman's Alley, but it's also what makes it such a, well, it's a fun place to build. You're always fighting it. Now, what I'm trying to do here is try and getting it as low into the ground as possible. The reason being, if possible, I would love to have 4 levels. So the very bottom, which is actually on the ground itself, then 3 other layers. That can be pretty difficult, but what that would do is give us 4 times 2 panels, because we're going to have 2 plots. So that's 8 panels. Each panel can hold 9 carrots, which gives us a grand total of 36 food, which would be fantastic in a little place like Hangman's Alley. Unfortunately, it seems that it just doesn't want to work for me today. I'm trying to move things around and get it to sink into the ground as much as possible, because I'm really worried, and I'm pretty sure this is what ends up happening, is it's just a little bit too tall and I can't put the final layer on. Now again, I'm getting rid of stuff that might be interfering. Even though it looked like it was quite far away, it is possible that these sorts of things get in your way when you're trying to build, and it's better just to move them out of the way. So using the old concrete pillar to move it as close to the wall as I can, keep it out of the way, give me a bit more room to build. So a bit of a brain fart moment here. I think I'm trying to remember what it was I was going to be doing, and yep, it finally comes back to me. And as you can see, look, it just does not want to go into the ground, and then it does, even though it's a little bit lower than it was just before, but you can't get it any lower than that. And I just find it amazing that Hangman's Alley does this to you. Most other settlements, these things can go quite deep into the ground. In hindsight, it may have been possibly better to use the shack walls, shack floors, the wooden shack floor wall, yeah, you know, that thing. Another brain fart moment. And then you've got the snapping problem, where it just goes everywhere it wants to go except where you want it to go, and you can waste a lot of time doing this sort of stuff, but we get there in the end. Now, I really do love Hangman's Alley. I mean, it's a great location, and other than its quirkiness, you know, you can do a lot in Hangman's Alley. If you haven't seen the first build and the second build part, where I've built the player home, which is right next to us on the right, and all the power underwater. Now 24 power, which we're easily going to double to 48, and with a little bit of tweaking we can even make it more than 48. We can, what's that, that's 96 power if we really wanted to. And the water is 33. We could probably increase that to quite a bit more actually, because there's plenty of other locations. Now you can't actually see the water from here, it's to our left and down below at the moment, but you can push water pumps into the small cavities. You can just see it over there on the right, and so we could easily probably put another 6 of those in, and that gives us another 30 water. But we don't need that for Hangman's Alley. It will probably have a limit of 20 people by the time I'm finished, maybe more. I'm not putting a beacon here to attract settlers because I want to control the population of this one. So yeah, we'll probably sit with 20 settlers here. Now the food that I'm building, there's going to be 27 food, so that's 54 carrots, so that's 3 levels of 2. Each of those plots can handle 9. Problem with that is because settlers can take up to 6 food at a time, or manage 6 food at a time, well, that means we've got one settler that's only got 3. So ideally, if we can manage it, I'm going to try and find a way in which to put the carrots more than 9 on one of the plots. I basically need another 6 carrots on those plots somehow. Now what I was doing there with Sturgis is trying to make sure that the pathing would let him go up, and as it appears he's been grumpy and clearly he's been hanging around Preston too long, and he does not want to go up to these levels. I tried a couple of times. Eventually I do prove that he can go up, otherwise I would have had to tear all of this down and move it slightly closer to the main part of the settlement. It was a bit of a punt whether I put the stairs earlier to figure out whether or not they would actually be able to come up here. Off camera I also tested with like Piper and what's his name, Sheffield. Funny enough, Sheffield had real problems getting up here. Clearly he hadn't had enough Nuka-Cola for the morning, so he was just walking around in circles underneath going, how do I get up there, how do I get up there? And pathing issues in Hangman's Alley are absolutely atrocious, which is one reason I built the player home up that far end, so the settlers never go there. Since it's going to be the player home, that doesn't actually matter. And now I'm looking out over here and thinking, wow, where am I going to build all their accommodation? And it just dawned on me I've got some very, very cool ideas that I'm going to try. And here I think we're trying on the last level. And as you can see, it's not that high up. I'm a bit baffled as to what happens next. As for the bloody snapping problems. Now, this is on PS4. There are no mods being used. There probably never will be. I have heard, as everyone else has, that very, very limited mods will be available. But one of the big, this is a slight detraction from the actual build that we're doing, But one of the big problems with the so-called mods that are being offered on PS4 is there's no custom scripting. So that severely limits what modders can do on the PS4. And of course the other issue is no external assets, so no new sounds. They can't even create combinations of textures using existing textures, because that actually requires them to take those textures and create a new texture. You can't do that on the PS4. It's not going to be available. And I've put a blog post up and a couple of other things around the place about my idea on that. And in a nutshell, I think it's a security issue. The PlayStation, once the game is running, the game has absolute access to everything the operating system of the PlayStation can do. Therefore, any external assets could potentially compromise the operating system, either deliberately through malware or accidentally through bad coding. So I suspect that's why Sony have said absolutely no external assets of any kind. But, you know, it is what it is. You've got to work with what you've got, and other than a few cool mods like I think it's called housekeeping or something, where you clear all the resources out immediately. You don't have to go around and bloody do it one by one. That would be awesome. I mean, that's just a big time waster and would be great on a build. You go into a new settlement and you clear all the resources out so that you've got them all in your workshop. That would be great. The other one would be the I can't remember what it's called. It's where you can put what is it? You can not the Place Anywhere mod. Yeah, I can't remember what it is. It's one where you can put items together that wouldn't normally go, but it's not a new texture. It's telling the game that, for instance, a shelf is actually a shelf and you can store it however you want. Now, I'm pretty sure those will work fine, but we will see. Anyway, here I am trying, after that little aside, I am trying to see if I can sink this in a little bit deeper, because I've realized that the top is too high. I can't put another layer on, and at this point I'm actually raging. I am getting extremely annoyed, and I nearly quit out and cancelled the save, and I was going to try it again later, and I thought, no, I better persevere. You know, we've got to do these things, we've got to try these things. And now it's all picking up our other bits and pieces, and I'm looking at it and thinking, this is just too hard. Why is it not working? Why can't I just sink it in another, you know, little bit, so that I can put one more level up on top, which would give me total available food of 36, which would be fantastic. But it's not going to happen. Clearly not, because I've decided to leave it where it is, put everything back, and that is sometimes frustrating. And then these bloody railings ended up being a right pain. Some of them that should just have clipped nicely in, sort of sat there nicely, didn't. And then one that I didn't think would go there at all decided it would be happy to go where it wanted to go. I mean, yeah, I just, there's no rhyme or reason for it. It's the clipping and the snapping issues in Hangman's Alley, I'm pretty sure of. It just does weird things. I'm pretty sure most of the problems I had here, if I was in another settlement, it would have just happily all come together nicely. But Hangman's Alley, see, it's clipping all over the place except where I want it to. I think I give up. It even double clipped there. I mean, what's that about? So we go, trying to get it to clip, and it just won't clip. Come on, clip. Snap in there. I think I ended up... That was deliberate, by the way, falling off. See? I definitely wanted to fall off there, because it meant that I could put these railings up. And here, again, it should just snap into place, but it decides that the stairs are in the way, even though further up it worked perfectly. So, you know, and it's happy to go at the bottom of the stairs, just not at the side of the stairs. So I think I end up having to remove the stairs and then put them in. Now, some people that build, they like mixing and matching all the stuff to give it a bit more texture and so on. And yeah, I see the point, but I reckon if you were building something like this in real life, you'd be trying to keep it all the same, even in a post-apocalyptic world, because everything would fit nicely, and you would just find the resources to build it. So that's my idea behind keeping like all the railings the same on something specifically like this. I mean, this is scaffolding. They've built it for a very specific purpose, as in the settlers. So that's why when I'm doing something like this, I like to keep it all the same. It's like my pedantic requirement that all the tongue and groove flooring has to go in the same direction. You know, you wouldn't build it one going one way and one going the other. You know, any builder worth half their salt would probably agree with that you know, you can't do it that way. So that's why I do it this way. You know, on a scaffolding build like this. If it was like junk walls and stuff like that, and it was looking a bit tatty, or it was a far outpost like what's it called? Warwick. Yeah, Warwick, where it's all the way out in the middle of nowhere. Then yeah, I can see why. And here you go. It snapped in there, and I'm looking at it and thinking, what? Did I just see that snap? And I don't know if I actually went back to try it. I don't think I did. Oh no, it did snap, see? Right into the wall, whereas the other one, right next to the stairs, would not snap. So anyway, that is one of the wonderful problems at Hangman's Alley in particular. I'm not saying it doesn't happen at other places, but Hangman's Alley, it just seems there is something weird with the settlement. So putting our plots down, and we're going to stick carrots in our plots. A shout out to Oxhorn. He sold me on carrots. I'm sold on using carrots instead of nut fruit and stuff like that. Carrots just seem to be more efficient overall. Now, one of the problems I'm about to discover is I don't have enough carrots. I thought I had absolute bucket loads of carrots. And I thought I was carrying them on me, and then I went to use them. So we're going to actually pop out and go and get some carrots and then come back in. So I'll be pausing the recording while that's happening. And the cool thing with the carrots is you can see the settlers, so if you need to do something with them. And it also seems to reduce frame rate issues. PS4 has some quirks where, you know, I don't know if it happens on the PC or the Xbox for that matter. But if there's a lot of foliage, it does seem to sort of pause and have some frame rate issues. So I don't know what that's about. But carrots don't seem to have as much problem. And I was thinking here, if I could get 5 nut fruit into, or moot fruit, depending on what you want to call them, into here on each of those things, I probably may have done it. because that would be more food than carrots. Carrots we get 4.5 per thing, and the mut fruit, whatever you want to call them, you would get 5 per thing. So only a little bit more, but it would mean that I would have enough for 5 settlers to produce 30 food, sorry. Yeah. But in the end I decided to just use carrots. I've run off, I've got a whole lot of carrots, as you can see. I now have over 60, and they're easy to put in, and I am hoping that I might be able to, if I could squeeze a couple more of the carrots into these areas, that would be awesome, because then I could have still 30 food in the same space. But we will see how we get on. I probably won't do that on this one. And the reason I'm not too bothered about using carrots, because obviously you can't use carrots for anything really other than providing the food for the settlers, but other settlements will have the potatoes and the corn and stuff required for doing things like making adhesive and so on. It's also why there's not going to be any Brahmin at the settlement, because there's just no room for them. They're too big, they get in the way, they go and walk through walls for some reason and get stuck and all sorts of things. So other settlements will be providing that sort of stuff. Anyway, this has been Smellbad's Gaming. We've provided the food for Hangman's Alley, and I'm quite pleased with it. I am a bit disappointed that we couldn't go up one more level. I might play around with that a little bit more, but I really don't think I'm going to end up being successful at that. It's just simply a height limit that we can't really get around. So yeah, the next stage will be starting the living areas for the settlement. There'll probably be 2 more episodes, one for the living area, one for the crafting and shops, and then a final tour. Now I won't do all the decorating and stuff as a video, but I will do that in the tour. And so yeah, we've probably got 3 more episodes of this. It's kind of dragged out, but it's been fun for me. I hope people have enjoyed it. If you have, please do hit like and click subscribe if you would like to continue seeing content like this. Much appreciated.